Using risk capital that you can afford to lose if you are trading. Disclosures on our site. Please use risk capital and trade trading as a business, not as a video game. We're looking at the bigger picture, and we can see that anybody who is trading and trying to buy is technically a weak hand because we are at the highs of this swing. Doesn't mean you can't do it. That's happened over and over the last few days. But understand, you've got to drop. If we break a neckline, we could have a fast move, just like we had a fast move up overnight. Anybody's looking for the gap? First things first, 44.75 half gap has been hit. We've suggested workaround news. That's why you've got to play hit and run. We are coming into rising moving averages, so be careful. 38 going to be a key player today, as every day in the last few days. And we have suggested yesterday's high is 41. We're using 42. Make sure you're paid by 42s. Below that, good fortune. Just a rule of thumb. Got to, because otherwise traders can still be squeezed. And you can thank the boys for deciding this was the better odds to come backwards. 57, 58 area, still holding. We got lucky with that idea. Educated guess. And we've made the notation that the gap area, 38 area, very important pivot being the year middle. And this whole bar, this thing, remember I said overnight, this was a program trade. It's like a 15-point bar in 5 minutes. Anybody that is looking at yesterday's high, this is yesterday's high over here. This is how we try to keep track of ideas like this. And on trailers, past the half gap. Anybody that's got the 42s, you may miss some if you come out, but tighten up stops at the very least. Since that high, we've been making lower lows and lower highs. Range type day. And that's 68 to 72, we said resistance still in control until it gets broken. Half an hour, we've come back a good portion of the overnight range. The bottom of the pipe is right here at 39. So this is the skill is hitting it close to the hole, and luck is when it falls in. And as long as this high holds, that's resistance. We get it back up above that, the low of the day is probably in. Great trade, anybody that took it. Longs, I hope you understood when I said make sure you're paid just above this 54. Want to see it stall by 57. And that's how we calculated that. 42s, paid for sure. Great trade. Relax. You don't have to be in the market every single minute. Right now, risk and reward is tough. And this will become a fighting zone before we're done next day or so, obviously. Well, one of the reasons the short side I thought had a better edge today, when I woke up and saw this, oh my God. I said, well, I'm going to calculate the upsides, but I'm hoping that we can get some back and fill. But when you get gaps a couple of days in a row, then you start to wonder. You say, come on. All right, we're going to use this 48 zone right in here as a key now. And we still got about 20 minutes in the IB. We have not been able to come back in and undercut this high from yesterday. We need to do that or else the shorts can continue to get squeezed. And this was all a hard, sharp run. So my thinking is that the best trades short are done already. Anybody who's buying, it's a weak hand. And you're going to have to take small rotations probably to try to get back up and work your way back up to do any retests. Primary target for us has been achieved by getting back to the half gap. And the big problem right now is the rising moving averages still, excuse me, favor the long side. I would like to see the gap close today. It may take some time to do that. I think that's a smart, logical test today. Will we do it? Who knows? Just looks to me like the boys have still been trying to support this 42 to 45 zone. We need to bust this. Anybody who is short side, tighten up your stops. And this is where the boys need to start to dig in to keep a squeeze going. We said today we were going to try to hit a bounce, hope we got lucky. We've already gotten lucky. Do not squander your profits. Try to spread your trades out today also in several time frames. Best odds trades for the short side are done. To come back and retest yesterday's high and the half gap. My suggestion, hit and run. If you've got a trailer, great, but don't give it a long leash. And there's a look at our 38 rain line, and the gap is going to be there. Note how we've had these gaps. This is what I mean. This is like a double island gap. It's something that I learned from Zeke, actually. He likes the short side better when we get, third gap in a row. So it'd be nice to close that before the day's over, but at least we got the direction right from that high. And this is what I mean by rising moving averages. So it makes it really hard as you get closer to them here. And these type of ideas help me to at least understand where risk and reward starts to come in. So this 50 zone is going to be very important now on top of the pipe. We've had a great swing. We still have not quite got to the middle of this bar, but I think this is a risk reward idea more than anything right now. And it's probably the boys being cute, trying to keep the squeeze on for a little bit longer. And this is Angels and Demons. 62.5, we said, was our demon. Here's what I've got as our third time through trade, right back here at 40. 1, 2, 3. So this would be a retest if we got back there. And no support built up in this bar. None. Bottom of that bar, 32. Key idea, until broken, I've said that is support. 29.25 we've got down here as our angel. We had that crazy gap down and then all the way back up and said, we got you. We are using 38 for the gap and we're not using 25. 25 was the overnight open. Get some crazy moves. One of the first things Zeke said today was stolen range. And stolen range means don't think about a big plunge and certainly don't think about a big move up from there after we had that kind of an overnight move. Had like 43-point move overnight on top of all the rest. We've already had, in terms of the week's range, anybody calculate that yet? You should. Like 163 points. The prior week we had 155 points. So this is a regression type trade. And my guess is that despite the fact we can get a good solid short today, I'm not convinced it's going to last all day long. I'm going to consider if we can get back and get underneath this 41 and close the 38. God bless America. And anything below that, obviously, hug the wife and hug the kids. I still think we've got some work to do to penetrate here. May take some time. And we got about 10 minutes left in IB, and we'd like to see half gap close, and we like to see the gap close in the first hour or just after the first hour if we can. And you can go play golf. They don't make it easy, do they? What can I say? Stops down. We're within 2 points of the 38. And don't be surprised. Be very careful just above it here. 39. That's the bottom of the pipe. Anybody that's got into the 42s, below 42s, let's call it, let's be reasonable. Let's just say anything that we get now down in here is a lucky break. Is a retest of that breakout. And sometimes you got to bleed back some before you get the next point or two, and sometimes it never comes back. And this is the idea right here. I'm coming back to retest that third time through trade. You've had a good day if you've already trusted my judgment. Let's hit a bounce or two, see if we can get back. Got to break the 45s. And if we could do that, then maybe we could open it up to get back close to the gap. So I hope I've helped you in some small way this morning. Play a reasonable trade with reasonable risk. Now, identifying the key areas like this 57 and kept us honest. Even if you took that trade, that's still a great swing and go play golf. You know, you don't need to catch every one of these. And in hindsight, it all looks so obvious and so easy, but it's not when you're in real time. All right, anybody wants to buy, you're going to use this 38 as a support zone for profit taking. And I'm going to consider now this 32 is the big idea for support, the bottom of that bar. If that gets taken out, anything goes. And got a couple minutes left in the hour. And there's been no evidence yet of big boys pushing back on the long side. Big boys have definitely taken it short side. That we know. And here we are at our blue line. It says, first time back, make sure you're paid. And that'll be the size of this bounce that is the key. And part of it is, you know, risk and reward now. Perfect rotation short. Remember this. This is a trick that I learned from when I first started. There it is, right there. Stops down. Right there. Gap is closed. This is a trick that a guy taught me way back when I bought his course. I paid like $2,500 for it, and that was in old money, $2,500. It was a good course, and I got my money's worth. And that was one of the things I learned from him was you wanted to go up above it at least a couple of points above where the breakdown was. Bingo. Anybody that has got 38s, we said anything below, we're going to consider good fortune. Trailers. And I said 32s, be very careful of 32s. We're going to think of those as a support idea. Okay. And that's because that's the low of this bar over here. This is our breakout bar. Boom. We can go to any low now because the big boys are in this trade with no support built up. Trailers. And go. Yesterday's level right here. You got yourself anything below 38. Good fortune. Hit one more bounce today. Range day. And we're going to remember the day opened at 25. This stall right in here, this was the whole key for this next leg down because there was no support from here to here. You see how all these bars are white? Once we get under this 50, there's no support built up overnight. These are just ideas, lines on a chart. But in terms of the fast push, count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? It was like a 20-minute program trade right after midnight. Boom. So there's no support built up there. 32s. Using that idea right now for profit taking. If that can't hold, we can go any place down here. And my suggestion, I said before, once we get underneath and back into yesterday's range, anything goes down here. Because we've been making lower highs, lower lows. Let's take a look. One more chart. And basis this chart, this 25 zone really is the next key support. And that 45, 46 area back here, the clear resistance zone, that's got to be taken out again. There's your neckline that I put on earlier. That's about a 30-point trade, guys. And we had a lot of traders that got beat here. They're going to try to wiggle out. When there's evidence of power coming down at you, don't be the first to try to buy it. There's been no evidence yet that the longs have had a big boy in the trade to push it back other than that first little retest. Just be aware of the level that we're at. And I'm looking at this as a profit-taking move after this swing. We already know the size of the swing is gigantic. And any pullback today is still just a drop until we get a really crash-type move. And to do that, I'm talking about all the way back here into the 05 area, you know. Even that, you got to bust now. Go back and look at my notes pre-market where I said this was a back test. And we'll talk about that up here, that range. This whole bar, anybody who bought into this idea today is underwater. And you look at the top of the pipe for the NASDAQ and you see how that's really helped. Top of the pipe, test in the middle now. And we're at the end of the hour, so be careful anything that's coming this way. Now you're playing with the market's money if you took a short. Who's ready for the first tee? Anybody? What an idea. Just let's see if we can't bleed back a little. Who knew? Nobody knows when we start we're going to come all the way down here. Nobody. They open 25. Got about a 5-point risk now. I've got 28 and a quarter as the first level. Gentlemen, we will get a bounce before we're done. Ladies, we will get a bounce. Don't forget, this is first of the month bias. And sometimes what they do is bring it back and they'll buy it again. I said, the jury is still out. I'm going to consider we need more information to decide if the high is in for the day. I believe the high is probably in for the day. This is a beautiful regression type trade. And we're going to consider that the IB high now is resistance until broken. Gets up above that, anything goes. So all this nonsense, and then we get the big horseshoe shape pullback. And this is only possible in my mind on a day like today because of the 3 gaps up and because of the week's push, the length of that swing. Because we still have not undermined the long's posture. On this bounce. So 28 and a quarter. You got to beat that. You got to get back in here, close the gap, take out the lows. So that's the next key level. This is a retest right here. And typically with these type moves, we don't try to guess the low. Let the market tell us, show us that, okay, it's going the other way. Gap was 25. We said we're considering 38 the gap closed, but we wanted to be aware that 25 was where the day opened. And right in here, yesterday's middle, 23 and a half. Using the E-widget, it's easy to try to see these relationships. First things first, we said we had to come in and get underneath this 41 or else longs could still squeeze the shorts. And once we get back in here in this range, anything goes. Make sure paid 38s. Okay, we are in the support zone. If you've got yourself a great trade, you don't have to go long, but you obviously got to tighten up stops. And is it possible to take out the low? That'd be just like the boys to do it, but I don't want to count on it. One point away, 3 ticks away. 25 is the day's open. Bingo. Gap closed. Both gaps closed. These traders right here. Now, if you bought last night right here, what are you thinking? You think, uh-oh, they're coming after me. It's almost mandatory that they take out that stop just because they can. Into yesterday's pipe. And when we get a snap, we will. Because all of this has come without any resistance built up. So don't get carried away with your shorts. Now, remember my post earlier today where I said 27.20 probably support? Let's just think round numbers, right? Go back and look at that post and understand the power of simplicity, the way we can think. And here we are. And I realize for those of you who have some kind of a compulsion to hang up every tool in your basement on a pegboard in an exact spot, that no, we're only at 2175. But round numbers, I said, this has got to be considered our key idea for support right now. Unbelievable trade. Anybody that's got it, close it out. If you've got a trailer, that's up to you. If you've got one, get paid for sure. You may leave something on the table. I can't help that. I just want to make sure I caution you to don't overthink this. We've got the gap closed, knocked out the stop by about a point, and make sure you're paid. And we could probably hit one more bounce, but this should be payday.